Frank, can you hear me? Hey, Tim, it's Tracy.
Give that to him.
You good? Jeff, right here. Congrats on the win. We talked at Media Day, and we talked a lot about Nico's unpredictability in there. After spending time in the octagon with him, what did you make of his performance, and what did you make of your performance?
It was everything went as expected. I knew he was a wild man, and the crazy thing about it, my coach actually called an audible on the bus on the way to the fight. He was like, "Hey, it might get ugly. We might have to take him down and finish the fight with a ground and pound," and that's what we did. Put out the win.
I think between rounds you helped him up after. I think the first round or second round, I can't quite remember. But you don't see that often, an opponent helping another person up off the octagon after you're done fighting.
To be honest, I don't remember that. We had just collided heads, so I was kind of still out of it in between rounds.
Hey, Jeff. After the fight, he sort of screamed something very loudly. I don't know if it was at you or in frustration. What exactly did he shout?
He said the F word really loud.
Oh, okay.
And then some other stuff, but I heard the F word.
Okay. And in the round, there was a moment where it's almost like you both connected and you both dropped to the floor. Was that the left hand or was that a headbutt?
I looked at the video. I hit him with the left hand and made his head collide with mine.
Okay.
And then that dropped us both.
And then following that, there was a moment where you both sort of hit each other and there was this crazy, frantic exchange. Were you expecting more of that? Because obviously he's known as a bit of a wild man.
Yeah, I was expecting that. And that was actually, we were trying to avoid doing that. But I like that. How I fight is I like to fight like that. So if you want to throw down with me, I'll throw down with you.
I was going to say, is that when you kind of enjoy fighting like that, is it hard to keep yourself disciplined so you don't just end up going in these crazy exchanges where anything can happen?
Yeah, yes, it's really hard. And fighting Nico is hard to avoid that. You know, some fighters you can avoid getting in those crazy exchanges, but with us having almost the same reach, it was just bound to happen.
Thanks.
Jeff, right here in front of you. Can you just elaborate a little more on the late switching game plan? I mean, if you go through a training camp, you're preparing to do a certain thing, then at the last minute, it's like, let's mix it up. How do you digest that as a fighter?
Oh man, it was crazy because we worked this whole camp with just one game plan, and then I'm listening to music on the bus ride to the venue, and he's like, "Hey Jeff, listen, we might have to take him down." I was like, "What?" And he was serious. He's like, "We might have to take him down." I was like, "Nobody's ever seen you wrestling. You have good wrestling. We might have to take him down and ground and pound him." Because my coach had watched the fight with him and Tim Means, and Tim Means actually took him down and got him tired and made him slower, and that's exactly what happened when I took him down.
Yeah, and your ground and pound was pretty nasty. Is that something you work on a lot?
Yeah. Every Monday we have a hard MMA days where we just work on top position and ground control and ground and pound.
Yeah, and just last thing, you go through a fight like that, you change the game plan at the last minute, you have to deal with a little adversity, you show off some new parts of your skills. What does that prove to yourself going forward, 4-0 in the UFC?
Yeah, it honestly proves I think I'm ready for a top 15 opponent. I don't care who, just somebody.
No one stands out specifically?
No one stands out specifically.
Perfect, thanks man.
No problem.
Jeff, back here. Big Dan was in there pretty close near the end as you were kind of finishing the fight with the ground and pound. Does it distract you at all? Was it hard to keep your rhythm, knowing how close you were to a stoppage, and having the ref right there? Did you know that was going to be the end of it though?
Yeah, I had a feeling, and actually the ref being there, getting closer, actually made me want to hit him more. I was like, all right, this fight's about to be over. I need to turn up the heat on him and get this fight over with.
I know you said you just want to get back in the gym and get ready, and you're probably ready for the next tier opponent, and you might not have a name yet. But is there a dream fight for you at 170? Not even thinking about rankings or where it puts it, just one a fight you really want to to enjoy.
To enjoy, maybe Colby Covington, but that's about it. Nobody else.
Why that name? Why'd that one come up?
I mean, for obvious reasons. Everybody already knows he's not a likable person, but other than that, nobody else.
Jeff, over here to your left, just got word that you won the
$50,000 performance of the night bonus.
Oh, yeah?
Congratulations.
Hell yeah.
Probably a bigger tip than you've ever gotten as a waiter. Is that correct?
Yeah, way bigger tip than I ever got.
What are your thoughts on winning that bonus?
I'm so happy. I've been trying to get the 50,000 every fight since I got in the UFC, and I finally pulled one off.
Do you feel comfortable in guard with the ground and pound? Because that's kind of like almost a lost art in MMA, like that ground and pound from guard.
Yeah, I'm real comfortable in guard. We practice that all the time, and there's fights that you probably can't see it on, like, look it up, but I've won fights off of just ground and pound from in the guard.
And then at the end of the fight, after it was over, he kind of came up to you, and it was kind of hard to see what he was saying or what he was kind of like gesticulating with his hands. What was that when he came up to you?
No, we hugged, and he was like, "I hate you," and then, like, you know, we're just playing around, nothing serious. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
Any more questions?
Just one final one, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
At Media Day, we spoke. You said you're only serving until you find more income outside of the UFC. But with this 50,000 bonus, you still gonna continue serving?
Yeah, I'm still serve because to be honest, I like to serve. You know what I mean? Like I could have probably quit a long time ago, but I like to do it. I like to work hard, and like I said, I like to keep extra money coming into the household. You know what I mean? It's not the UFC money that keeps me from serving.
Thanks.
It's a personal thing.
Thanks so much.
No problem. Good to go. Awesome.
tough fight. Can you just reflect on how you felt in there and where kind of things didn't follow the game plan, I guess?
I thought I did well. I did the best I can. I just got to give hats off to Max. He's able to get the tide going in certain rounds. Even rounds I thought I was doing well, he was able to flip the tides here and there.
I mean, one judge had him for all 5 rounds. Did you feel in there that you took a few rounds off him, though?
Thought I won a couple. It's tough to really say when you're in there. I guess I got to watch the fight. But my team thought I won a couple, too. But it doesn't matter. It wasn't enough.
Yeah, and I can obviously tell you're extremely disappointed. I mean, can you just explain kind of your emotion after, I know you really wanted to regain that title and obviously didn't pan out tonight.
Yeah, I'm heartbroken, man. It's tough. It's tough when you want something really that bad and, can't get it. And I've been close, so many times before.
Do you think at all about what you do from here?
Nah, not yet. I'm not going nowhere.
Hi, Frankie, back here. Not to beat a dead horse, but sort of along those same lines. Is it hard to imagine traveling that road back to a 4th featherweight title challenge?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm really not thinking of nothing right now, to be honest with you.
You made sure to say in the octagon that you have plenty of fight left in you. Did you feel like you had to say that because there are people at this point in your career, there are always people saying, "Oh, how much longer is Frankie going to fight?" Was that a message for anyone in particular or any segment of fans in particular?
I don't say shit, man. I don't really care what anybody thinks or says. I guess that was for myself.
Frankie, obviously you're not thinking about anything in the future past today. Can you just give us an idea of what is going through your mind at this time after the fight?
I'm just pissed off, a little disappointed, but I'm proud of my performance. I'm just disappointed in letting my team down, I don't think I know they're they're proud of me, but you always want to deliver victory to them because they sacrifice so much as well.
Just one more for you, Frankie, right here. Obviously, your son is back there. I saw you walking out of the cage with him. What lessons do you teach him tonight stemming from this? Obviously, he witnessed everything that went down.
You're gonna lose in life, man. Can't let it keep you down, And I've lost before. It's just what it is. Never held me back.
Frankie, right here. You and Max spoke for a little bit inside the octagon, and I saw Max talking to your coach, Mark Henry, for a while before he left the octagon. What did you two say, and do you know what Max said to your coach?
I don't know what he said to Mark, but I just told him he represents us well. He's a stud. He's the best to do it right now, and I got tremendous respect for Max. I did before the fight, and even more so now. Thank you.
this one out. Dana's gonna go first. Does anybody want? Huh? I gave it to Bond. So Bond's gonna go first.
Hey guys, the gate was 1.4 million. That's U.S. dollars. Attendance was 12,144. The bonuses tonight went to Hakeem, Jeff Neal, and then Davison and Pantoja. They all won $50,000. Congratulations to them. And then the 50-50 raffle that we did for the Edmonton Oilers Foundation did $75,000. It's a huge number, so very cool. For charity, woohoo. Who has the first question?
Right here, Dana. Happy birthday, first of all.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thoughts on the main event? I mean, Max Holloway goes out there and lands an outrageous number of strikes again, defends his title. Just what did you make of what he did tonight?
Yeah, he looked good, especially as active as he's been lately, and coming off the 155-pound, shot at the title. I thought Frankie did a really good job. Max has had this thing where he's just been overwhelming people, just walking them down and destroying them. And I think Frankie did a good job tonight of using his speed and his movement to make sure that Max didn't do that to him tonight and was able to, take it to a decision.
Yeah, and you mentioned Max's activity. I mean, it's been 14 rounds for him since December. I think, the general idea is of people thinking maybe the Volkanovski fight in Australia, that stadium show, I'm sure it'd be nice to have a second title fight on there. Is that something you're kind of feeling would be the proper next step, or is that too much too soon?
So I haven't even talked to him. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if he's got any little nagging injuries or what he's got. He just needs to go spend some time with his family and take some time off, and then we'll figure out what's next. But in the scrums that I've been doing out there, I'm hearing that he's asking to fight again. So I haven't talked to him, but I'm sure you guys, I don't know if you have yet, but he'll be in here in a minute. It sounds like he wants to fight. So still, I'm not going to do anything until he goes home and takes some time off.
Yeah, and on the flip side, Frankie Edgar, comes up short of a UFC title again. What are you, 37 years old, the first guy in UFC history to have 7 hours of octagon time, which is just crazy.
Right.
Where do you see him going from here?
It's really up to Frankie. I mean, when I look at people like him, I'm like, what's left to prove? What's left to, he's done it all. And other than money, what does he need? What does he want? What does he, I know he's a competitor and he wants to win that title again so bad, but he's pushing 40, and I was just talking shit about Faber, and Faber just looked great at 40. But who knows? We'll see what he wants to do.
Right, and then the co-main event, Cris Cyborg, Felicia Spencer, tough as nails in there, took some huge shots. This is the final fight on our UFC deal. She's already walking around with Cyborg versus Nunes 2 shirts, January 2020.
I like it.
You like it?
I love it. I mean, that's the fight to make. That's the fight I want to make. So we'll see what we can do.
You're confident that you meet or reach a deal with her?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, if that's true, if that's the fight she wants and she really wants that fight, I don't see how we don't make a deal. I mean, if you look at my history in 20 years, how many deals have I not made for a fight? I think it's been like one. I think there's one fight I didn't make.
Which one was that?
It was we never got the Russian. Fedor, yeah.
Right.
I was trying to do that Fedor-Brock fight.
Right.
That's the fight I didn't make.
Okay, and just last thing from me, off topic from tonight's fight, but you did say yesterday that you are giving BJ Penn another fight. You said in 2013 that you felt he had taken too much damage. You said a couple months ago that you couldn't do this anymore. Why are you choosing to promote another BJ
Because he
Penn?
terrorized me for friggin' a week and wouldn't stop texting me for 3 days straight and, talked me into it. So we have a deal now, win, lose, or draw. This is BJ Penn's last fight.
How do you ensure that? Is he still under contract?
Because I won't give him another fight.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's very clear between us now that there won't be another fight no matter what.
Why did you kind of give in to that? I mean, he's taken the most head strikes of anyone in UFC history. I think it's like over 1,300. I think a lot of people are just concerned about him.
Well, if all you people that are concerned are doctors, then give me a call. If you're not, then mind your business.
Okay.
Hi, Dana, back here.
Yeah.
Are you concerned at all that, like I said, you have an agreement with BJ, but that he would try to take a fight somewhere else? Do you ever talk to him about
There's
that?
nothing I can do about that. You know, I've voiced my concerns. I've known BJ Penn, you know, since he was like 19 years old, and you know, BJ is gonna do what BJ wants to do, and you know, I've had a very crazy relationship with him and his family for the last 20 years, and you know, BJ walked me through a million reasons why he needs this fight and why he has to have it, and he talked me into it. So you guys know me. When I'm in, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. So we're doing this. He's promised me that win, lose, or draw, he will retire after this fight. We'll see if he keeps his promise. He won't fight here, though. That I guarantee you. We won't be sitting here doing this again. That I promise you.
After tonight's performance, do you think that Max has clearly passed him as the greatest Hawaiian fighter of all time, in your opinion?
It's tough. I mean, it's, you know, BJ Penn was such a huge talent, you know, and I think that BJ was so talented, he never took it as serious as he could have and should have, you know, but without a doubt. I mean, if you look at how small that island is and the talent that comes off that island, it's pretty incredible. To have two of the greatest fighters ever out of Hawaii is pretty impressive.
And I wanted to ask about Conor McGregor. He's pretty active on social media today, commenting the officiating, then spiraling that into all kinds of other stuff. I don't know when's the last time you talked to him. I heard that maybe you're expecting him to come back in 2020. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I talked to him last week. He wants to come back. So, I mean, really what he's doing is looking to see how everything plays out in September. I was just saying out there, as of right now, Habib and Poirier are fighting. You know how this business works. Anything can happen, and usually does. So I think he's just sort of waiting to see how it all plays out, and does he have an opportunity somewhere to jump in and make something happen.
Did he mention to you any other outside-the-box options, like, of course, the Nate Diaz trilogy, or now George Masvidal has been calling him out? Did any of that come up?
Yeah, Masvidal's too big for him, man. I think Masvidal's too big. Conor disagrees. So Conor was not happy that I said Masvidal was too big for him.
Dana, right here. There was an elite level flyweight fight that was on the prelims, and backstage when we spoke to Figueiredo about his placement, he said he thought it was because he couldn't speak English. What do you say to that?
Anderson Silva was our world champion and couldn't speak English for a very, very long time. I don't care if you can speak. I don't care if you can't speak. Your fighting speaks for you. This is a fight company. You know, obviously, there's situations where, you know, if you have the personality of a Conor McGregor or, you know, a Ronda Rousey and people like this, it's a home run. It's incredible. I don't care if you can speak at all. If you can fight, that's all I care about.
And there was a lot of talks of Max being the new face of Canadian MMA, considering he's headlined so many fights here in Canada.
Pretty funny.
Hakeem Dawodu took exception to that. He said he's not from Canada. I am, and I want to be the new face of this.
Who said that?
Hakeem Dawodu.
Okay.
After his knockout.
Yeah.
So what do you say when you see young fighters like that who take issue with that after this violent knockout that they had?
I love it. I love it. Speak your mind, pal. Exactly. Tell your people to stop following the Hawaiian guy and start following you. I love it.
What other
That guy doesn't look like he's happy about anything, though, right? He looks like he's been pissed off since birth.
Well, his nickname is Mean.
Yeah, it fits.
Sorry, last one from us, Dana. What other Canadian fighters jumped out at you from tonight's card? Obviously, this was a great chance to showcase some of that talent.
I thought Canada looked good tonight. I thought you guys represented and looked good in the whole show. It was a good night for Canada.
Hey, Dana.
Hey.
Just expanding on that a little, Felicia Spencer, I think a lot of people wrote her off coming into this. What was your thought on her performance tonight?
Yeah, so imagine when this woman feels like this is really her house. Or the UFC is her house. And, you know, it was her first fight against Cyborg in Canada. You know, when she gets a real, like, solid strength and conditioning program and you know, there's obviously things. This girl's only got 7 fights coming in here tonight, and you saw her chin, her heart, her determination, her elbows, impressive. Obviously, you know, especially who she was facing. And I guarantee you, she had a massive adrenaline dump before she even walked out to the octagon. So I think she's pretty special, actually.
Kind of building on that, there's not a lot of competition right now for the featherweights, but Megan Anderson did announce that she's got a fight coming up. Are we going to see more commitment to the women's 145 moving forward?
Yeah. Amanda Nunes is the greatest female fighter ever, and she's the 145 and 135 pound champion, and she wants to defend both. So the answer is yes.
And one more for me. I know we talked about Davison earlier. When he was back here, he was saying, I want Benavidez and I want to be for an interim belt if Cejudo's going to be gone for a while. What is the plan for Henry moving forward? Is it Joseph for the 125?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we gotta get back to work on that and figure that whole thing out. But yeah.
Hey, Dana, over here. When you look at stature and physicality, do you think tonight's performance by Max sort of ends the conversation of him going up to 155, at least for a little bit?
Well, I think his last performance at 55 ends the conversation of him going up to 55. I used to think that he looked big at 45, and then I realized how small he looked at 55.
And then you had mentioned about Conor was not happy that you said Masvidal was too big for him. Yeah. What exactly did he say?
That pisses me off that you said he's too big for me.
So was he texting you to say he was interested in that fight, or just that he was annoyed?
Just I'm telling you guys, I've said it a million times and I'll say it again. This guy will fight anybody. And I don't care if he's pissed off about it or not. I think that Masvidal is too big for Conor. So if we ever get to that point, I'm sure it's something that Conor and I will fight about.
With the welterweight division, just talking on that briefly, we've got Masvidal's on a big sort of tear. You've got Colby Covington and Robbie Lawler fighting. And now Leon Edwards is probably in that conversation as well. Is this the freshest welterweights looked for quite a while?
Yeah, it's a welterweight division. It's ridiculous right now. I mean, stacked with talent and stacked with unbelievable fights and possibilities.
If Colby wins that fight against Robbie Lawler, it could be argued he's the number one contender. Yeah. Would that mean it's almost the fight to make them would be Leon Edwards versus Jorge Masvidal?
Yeah, that's definitely a good fight to make. Question is, where do you do that fight, and how much security are we going to have?
Thanks, Dana.
Dana, over here to your left. John Jones was tweeting earlier this week about Madison Square Garden in November. Is that at all a possibility for him in the headline role?
Yeah.
Have you talked to him about that at all?
No, I haven't.
Maybe other conversations you're having right now with John Jones?
No, I haven't talked to John. I actually haven't talked to John. But, you know, I don't want to get into that whole thing, but I can tell you this. I saw some videos. John Jones will be fighting again.
You got them on your phone? You want to share?
What's that?
You got the videos on your phone? Maybe you want to share them with us?
Yeah, that's sad.
Sad how?
Sad that something like that would happen to him, and you know, it's hard to give John Jones the benefit of the doubt until you see the videos. So, I think John Jones is going to be fine.
Did you see today he was at a signing in New Jersey and Corey Anderson and his team confronted him? Did you see that today?
That what happened?
Corey Anderson and his team confronted Jones at an autograph signing today in New Jersey. I was just wondering if you saw that and if that's a possible fight for him, Jones against Corey Anderson.
Corey Anderson's turned down about 50 fights in the last month. No.
Fair enough. And back to welterweight for a second. How impressed were you with Edwards, his win over RDA last week?
Yeah. No. Listen, I've said to you guys many times what I think of RDA. I got a lot of respect for that guy. He's tough. He's durable, and yeah, it was a good fight.
If Covington beats Robbie next week, is it basically a three-man race for that title shot? It could be Masvidal, Covington, or Edwards. Are they all possibilities?
Covington's next in line, and he stepped up. He took this Lawler fight, and he'll get the fight.
If he wins, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Dana.
Dana over here. First off, you go to different countries as you're trying to build your markets. How do you compare Canada to, like, say, Australia or Russia, other markets that you're building?
All booming. I mean, Canada's been a hotbed for years. I mean, when GSP ruled the world, this place was bananas, man. It was crazy. And we still come up here, and the fans are incredible. Love coming up here and doing fights.
After tonight, how much closer are we to hashtag UFC Hawaii?
Not very close. No.
Fair enough. And really quick, back to BJ. After his last fight that's coming up, is he still under contract, or is this the last fight on his contract?
Yeah, he's still in contract.
Still, okay. Cyborg's performance tonight, I feel like a year or two ago, that fight probably would have been finished. Do you think that maybe she's past her prime, or how do you feel?
Well, it's one of those things. That's what I was saying leading up to this fight when, Cyborg thought that I was talking shit about her, like she's scared or she's this or she's that. It's not about that. It's you start to get to a point in your career where you start to look at, I'm getting older and those type of things. And believe me, people have jumped ship here for easier fights. And I don't frown on that. When you're at that point in your career, this is the absolute best fight here. We find the absolute best, and these are all killers that are here in the UFC. And as soon as this fight was over tonight, but let's also say the girl she fought tonight has a ridiculous chin, unbelievable elbows, a ton of heart, and she showed up. She didn't show up for a paycheck tonight. She showed up to try to win.
Fair to say she did what only Amanda Nunes has been able to do with Cyborg.
Right. And, this girl, she's only got 7 fights, but she's undefeated. She's never been beaten. So you can look at that both ways.
And finally, for me, you mentioned earlier that Brock was one of the fights you'd like to make. Would you say that the ESPN deal is giving you enough leverage that it's just not worth it to give Brock what he's asking for? Is that what the hang-up was, or what was the final hang-up?
It had nothing to do with that.
What was the final hang-up then?
It had nothing to do with that. Brock just decided that he wasn't going to fight anymore.
Thanks.
He was going to do the last deal on his WWE deal, and that was it.
Dan over here. Just promoting your next pay-per-view with, the ticket sales look good for Miocic and DC. What are your thoughts going into that?
Sold out. Yeah.
Nice.
They're actually trying to take tickets for me to sell right now. It's good. It's all good. I'm excited. That card's awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. Vancouver's selling really well right now, too. So it's all good.
What do you expect from those two come that pay-per-view?
I think that's going to be a fun fight. Stipe's wanted this rematch so badly for so long. He's finally getting it, and Daniel Cormier is convinced that Stipe can't beat him. So it's a fun fight. And then you got, Diaz and Pettis on that card too, and it's ridiculous.
Just one more, Dana, and then we'll let you go celebrate. The thing on just Max.
There will be no celebrating this birthday, let me tell you that.
You mentioned Max at 155. You felt that kind of closed the book. That fight with Poirier, didn't have the longest training camp. I think it was announced like 6 weeks out or something. Do you feel if Max maybe had 6 months or something to add the proper weight, fill out his frame, that maybe that would be the better way to have him fight at lightweight and he could maybe fit into that division better? I
think Max looks small no matter what Max does. At 55, up against Poirier, he looks small to me. I don't think there's a way for him to put that kind of weight on. Listen, I'm not saying it couldn't happen and he couldn't ever go back to 55, but I think that I'm a believer now that this is his weight class.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. Have a good night. Thanks again, Canada. You guys are always awesome.
Chris. Congratulations on the victory tonight. Been a while since you've met an opponent that was that durable in there. She was taking all your shots and everything. Were you surprised that you couldn't get Felicia out of there during the 3 rounds?
You know, I always train for, and then respect all my opponents. I know if they're there because they're tough. And actually, Felicia helped me. Something I'm working patient. And I saw, when I was punching her, I saw her face. She can start change a little bit. But, you know, I continue my focus, what I want to do. And it changed a little bit. Just helping me for work my patient and finish the time I'm supposed to finish.
Yeah, and you got cut in the fight, and you said that was the first time. And it seems like it's almost something you take pride in. Why did you almost seem to enjoy the fact you had a cut on you?
You know, my mom probably know proud this cut. You know, it's in the fight. I never have a cut before. You know, it's first time. In the gym a little bit, but you know, in the fight, you just always have the first time.
And it happened in like the first minute of the fight. So when that happens and you're not used to that, did it have any mental effect on you or anything? Did it make you feel you need to go harder? Did it concern you?
You know, the first thing I was thinking, first I don't want to stop the fight because the cut. And then I was saying, you know, I'm not going to ask Jason if it's a bad cut because Jason, the last time for Dos Anjos, say it's no bad cut. And then it's a really bad cut, you know. But I just think about this, continue the fight. I don't want the doctor to stop the fight.
Where's the Amanda Nunes shirt we saw you wearing after the fact for Cyborg versus Nunes?
I know UFC make me take out.
Okay. When did you have that made? Is it something that you were planning on wearing, right?
You know, I just say I would rematch 2020 January, you know, and just to show people, I asked after my last fight, I asked for rematch, and I'm no liar about this. It's true. And then told me I have to wait that she's fight Holloway home, and because this I'm fight Felicia in Canada.
Yeah, and Dana was just in here. He said he wants that fight to happen. Amanda tweeted at you saying, you know, let's make it happen. Is that what you believe is next? Do you believe you're going to sign a new UFC contract and fight Amanda Nunes?
You know, a lot of things going on. Like have a lot of issues me UFC. You know, I don't want to complain about anything, but we don't know just is the fight. Because the people in media don't see anything is inside, but have a lot of things you have to work for. We can continue to stay. You know, everybody knows I don't have the best and the greatest relationship with UFC. I don't have the best relationship with Dana White. He's bullying me around, bullying me in internet, and I suffering bully everywhere because this. I have a daughter, I have a father, and I don't think it's nice this, and they never have saying sorry for me, anything about this. And just this is continue, you know, it's no finish. Like saying I'm scared of fight Amanda Nunes, saying I don't want to fight her, this is liar, because I text him after the fight saying I want the rematch. And this is don't help me growing my brain. This is damage my brain. And for me keeping you working for one promotion, I don't want somebody damage my brain. I want you growing together. And because this we're going to have to take a little time and see what's going to be better for me.
Yeah, there's a video that came out online of you talking to Dana after the fight backstage. What did you guys say to each other?
Where?
Just now, did you guys not speak after the fight?
Why are you lying? I don't want the rematch. That's it.
Say?
And he told me, Cris, you cannot be mad at everything I say in the media.
Cris over here, congrats. First of all, where do you rank Felicia Spencer in terms of your opponents in the past? Because it seems like she was able to stand up with you for 3 rounds, something that no one else really has been able to do other than Amanda in recent years. So where do you rank her in terms of your opponents?
You know, what's happened, Amanda, we fight each other, and then the 50-50, I got a cut. This happened. You know, about Felicia, I try work different a little bit. I try move around. I try see the opportunity when I have the punch. I think this different fight, you know. I have 3 rounds to finish the fight. I just figured out this now. I always want to finish the fight in the first round, you know, and I just learn, you know, learning every day.
So as a free agent now, would you say even if the contract is on the table, would you still want to negotiate to see what you're worth out in the market, different markets, or?
Really, for now, I'm really happy about my victory, and I didn't think about this. But it's not just about money; it's about respect. It's about my life continue about the fight. When my fight career, I want to continue growing my brand. I don't want to be any promotion damage my brand because this I'm gonna leave after I stop fighting, and I have a lot of things going on in my mind now and about Victor. But this is the main thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cris, right here. This was your first 3-round fight at 145 pounds. You've had a couple 140-pound fights in the UFC, but did that extra pound in the weighing in and then 2 less rounds, did that play a factor into how you approach the fight?
You know, I was really happy about this fight. I don't have any pressure. I was 13 years defeated, 13 years champion, and then so much pressure on my back. I was fighting happy today. Patient, happy, doing my best, you know, and happy, you know. I just have 3 rounds to finish the fight, and I try, you know, and she's tough. She's moving around, she's tough.
And you've pushed for this division a lot, and she was really your first legitimate featherweight that you fought in the UFC. A lot of bantamweights would come to fight you. How happy were you to see them go out and sign another featherweight for this division?
Finally, this is the words, finally. And 145 pounds have me. If the real ones, you know, Meg Anderson, Felicia, I think. I'm sorry if I forget someone, but I think maybe 3. It's no good for our division. Now I have girls, you know. I'm fighting like maybe 3 years for this. I did my first fight in UFC 2016. I'm fighting for growing our division for a long time. Let's see if this is gonna be good. They're gonna open the opportunity for more girls.
And one final one. You've won a lot of your recent fights pretty dominantly or quickly. Maybe a lot of fans who only know you in the UFC maybe now have seen your whole skill set. In this fight, you showed a lot, your grappling, your wrestling defense, and your striking. Was this a fight that you were happy with your entire performance to showcase your entire skill set?
You know, I think I'm doing MMA maybe 14 years old, 14 years. And I work everything. You know, I'm a brown belt jiu-jitsu. I compete jiu-jitsu, grappling. I do world champ 2 times, purple belt. You know, I did a Muay Thai fight. You know, I know it's a mixed martial arts, you know, but I always like to finish the fight in the punch. And I just change a little bit my mentally and then work my MMA, do what I do always, you know, and that's it. Show a little bit more for the people. But I already had this, but just hide a little bit.
Cris, congrats on the win. You know, just to pick up on the idea that the UFC may be signing some more featherweights, you've been very vocal about them not having a division in the past. Is that a big factor on whether or not you will return?
You can ask again, sorry.
If the UFC is to sign more featherweights coming up, is that a big part of the reason why you will return, or if they don't, maybe you won't?
I don't think just this is the reason. But I would like to fight more than 1 time per year, for sure. I wait 9 months for fight Amanda Nunes, you know, after Holly Holm. This is no good for the fighter. It's good you be active and training and fighting. You know, this is the good thing.
And one more from me. You know, there's been a lot of back and forth, like you said, with Dana. Not everybody loves their boss. I mean, are you comfortable moving forward, you know, even if things aren't great between you? And is there something he could do that would, you know, make this better as far as your relationship is concerned?
You know, you don't need to love the boss. You just have to have respect between both. I think this is making everything work together.
Thank you.
Hi, Cris, over here. You know, you've only lost twice in your career, so you haven't had this chance to show you can bounce back very often. But how does tonight's win, coming back from the Amanda loss, compare to some of your past wins?
You know, I lost my first fight, you know, a long time, and then back to the cage, and then won. And for me, it's a big challenge because I want back to the fight soon. You know, I think 1 win, delete 1 other loss. I think it's like this work. It made like this. Fans remember your loss after you win and forgot about. And my nose will bleed. And I'm really happy, you know, I improved and I get the win. I work really hard for that, and I always work hard, but, you know, I feel very blessed, happy, thankful for my team for helping me and going through everything, they overcome. This is just show the people, if you lose the sport, you can lose, you can win, but you can overcome and get your win again. You just cannot quit, keep it work.
And you've been very honest about the kind of tough relationship with the UFC sometimes, and even said there was some bullying. How important is it for you to set a good example, especially now that you're a mother?
You know, my daughter almost fight in school because this. She back home in a fight, and one kid say things about me, And I told her, man, I told her, you cannot fight any kid. If they want to say anything for you, you have to let it go. But it's no good. It's no good because what kids listen now, it's everybody on the media and they see the things. They say, your mom have penis. Your mom, I know a lot of bullshit things. Of course, in the school, and she's studying now in America, and then the kids saying things for her, like before Amanda Nunes fight. And then it's hard. How are you going to teach the kid? You cannot, I tell her, no, you cannot let this, annoy you because don't annoy me,
Hi, Cris. You mentioned you want to see the UFC sign more featherweights. What are the names out there of featherweight women you'd like to see them bring in, and who do you perceive to be a threat in the division?
I don't think you have any girls free now 145. I think maybe all the girls in Bellator, PFL, and I don't think I have girls free now 145 to sign.
Okay. We've spoke a lot about your relationship with Dana White tonight, but what's your relationship like with Amanda Nunes and her partner Nina Ansaroff? Because they are also saying the same things Dana are, that you don't want the fight and stuff like that. I know that you guys were pretty friendly before your fight. Is that changed now?
No, I don't have anything. It's a fight game, Like Felicia, I don't give the hand for her. It's not because every time she see me in the hotel, she want to shake my hand, and then, okay, we're going to fight. And it's not to disrespect, you just have to be focused, have to switch. I'm a really sweetheart, a really good person. Fight for me, it's hard, turning hard, but, I have to switch from with Cyborg. And I don't want to give you hands. Man, I'm going to fight. Tomorrow we can be friends. Tomorrow we can go mall together, and just be focused in the fight.
You said you want to fight Amanda in January. Obviously, you're going to have to talk to the UFC about your future with them. At what point do you need those negotiations to be finished by before you make a decision whether you stay or whether you go to another promotion?
I have to see the opportunities I have too. It's a negotiation time because this is going to be in January because I'm going to have prepared 6 months maybe.
And is boxing still a possibility?
Huh?
Is boxing still a possibility? I know you've spoken about that in the past.
Maybe, maybe, but, I'm getting focused now MMA, but maybe I'm open for this if it happens.
Well, thank you, Cris.
Thank you.
Cris, you're left over here. Did you say how many, you need stitches in your head in the cut? Stitches?
I don't know, but it's a lot.
A lot of stitches.
Yes.
By far the most you've...
Maybe 7, 8. 8.
I was looking at you, Jason. Thank you. Appreciate it. Cris, for your next contract, would it be important to you, because you've expressed interest in doing boxing, pro wrestling, would it be important to maybe have something in your contract, wherever it might be, to do multiple things, multiple combat sports?
This is a good thing, but I don't think FC have you can do another things for stay. Depending, I think I accept a lot of challenges, and it's gonna be good if you have the opportunity for happen. For sure, I would like to do.
Cain Velasquez is doing pro wrestling.
Oh, nice.
They'll be fighting in the UFC, so maybe.
Oh, nice. Good. Maybe they open mind. Yeah, it's a good one.
Thanks, Cris.
Thank you.
How it do, baby? That was poetic. You can't write this. I want my chips with the dip. Only my Canadians know what's up.
Max, congratulations on the victory tonight. First of all, what do you think of the new belt that's sitting there in front of you?
It's dope. I told you guys, it kind of reminds me of Power Ranger. I heard Power Rangers is doing a reboot. If they're looking for a Green Ranger, holla at your boy, ready for Takeover Hollywood too. But, like I said, it's, I got a soul stone. I got one on here. I already. I don't know if it's Frankie's or Brian's, but it's on there, so it's cool.
Very nice. How'd you feel about your performance tonight?
I felt good. I felt real good. You know, I got to find myself early in that fight. I told, you know, I kept hearing people saying that his wrestling was going to be too much. I kept people here saying that his pressure on me was going to be too much. So I wanted to go 5 rounds and remind everybody that the Blessed Express is on the move. Blessed Era is still in full effect, and that's what we did.
You mentioned wanting to go 5 rounds. I mean, I imagine if you had the chance to finish him, you probably would have. But it seemed pretty close at the end of that 3rd round, and then he kind of took you down like right at the end. That was the one takedown you got. Is that the biggest opportunity you saw to finish the fight?
I always want to finish the fight. I always trying to finish the fight, but Frankie is a legend, guys. He's a legend, you know. He's the dude. He's been in there with the best of them, and he is one of the best. And, you know, I just couldn't find the shots. I couldn't land the shots. And you know, it is what it is. I felt great.
Yeah, I mean, what does it mean to you? You praised him so much leading up to this fight. It was all respect afterwards. What does it mean to have his name on your resume now?
It means a lot. You know, without the guys like Frankie Edgar, you wouldn't have guys like me. Frankie Edgar was the inspiration. You know, Drake said, train till your idols become your rivals, you know, and we're here. And he's a beast, you know. You can't take nothing away from Frankie. He's still a legend. He's been in top 5 forever in 2 different weight classes, in a weight class where he was very undersized. Boy looked kind of big today, though, but it was super fun, you know. It was super fun, you know. Like I said, I'm trying to be the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, not the best featherweight in the world. I'm trying to be the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and Frankie is one of the guys to help me one step towards that goal.
And you've spent 14 rounds in there since December, which is, you know, a lot of cage time. There's all this talk about potentially fighting Volkanovski in Australia and the big stadium show, October. Does that, just generally speaking, feel too soon for you, considering how much you fought of late, or could you possibly see yourself doing that?
We see what happens, you know. Like, I look fine. I look great. But, you know, I owe it to my team. I owe it to my coaches. And we got to get medical testing, you know. Like you said, I fought 3 title fights in 7 months. I think it's 7.5 months, something like that. And, you know, I want to fight one more time this year, but we got to go take all the right tests and see, and we'll go from there.
And just last thing for me, Dana was in here, and he got asked questions about you potentially going to 55 again in the future, and he more or less said the door is closed. Like, I asked him maybe if he got more time, because I know it was a pretty short camp for Dustin to bulk up, and he said, you know, doesn't matter how much time you get, he's not interested in that. What do you just make of that?
Dana changes his mind every day. Tomorrow he might be like, hey, Max, we need a heavyweight fight. So I don't, you know, Dana's mind is all over the place. You know, I got to respect the boss, but, you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know, I know if an opportunity come up there and they come calling, you know, we won't shy away.
Max, to your left over here, congrats on the win. It seems like there's a pretty notable pattern in some of your fights recently where first couple rounds might be kind of close, and then 3rd round is really when you click and you start to pull away. What is it about you that allows you to do that?
I just got to get, you know, like a train. I just got to get my engine rolling, the choo-choo train, and then once it's rolling, it's hard to stop, you know. So I just got to get in there and figure it out, you know. Everybody's different. You know, like, I don't have, we have guys to mimic Frankie, but he's not Frankie, you know. And when I get in there, I try to figure it out, find out what we've been working and see what's working, and then turn it up from there.
You landed a few big uppercuts in the fight, and there were 2 really big ones in the 3rd round that kind of allowed you to pull away. And I think one knocked out his mouthpiece. Ortega hit him with that same uppercut. Is that what you guys saw, like on film, that he was maybe vulnerable to that?
We saw a bunch of things, you know. We saw a bunch of things, and uppercut was just landing. It was working, you know, and we had a lot of other things that we actually practiced more, but the uppercut just landed. I was like, hey, if he's not going to move his head, if moving his head a certain way, I'll just keep doing it, and it was working.
I know that you don't like talking about being a better featherweight than Jose Aldo, but you do have one record that you tied today, 13 featherweight wins in a row. And it's tied with John Jones, Anderson Silva, and Demetrius Johnson as the most wins in a row in a division. What is your reaction to that?
I'm just trying to be a legend. I'm just trying to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and that's the names that I gotta be up there with, you know, and that's respect. So, like I said, you know, like all this GOAT talk and whatever, that doesn't affect me. You know, when it's all said and done, I can sit back and relax. And Aldo stood the man. He still got the most wins, he got the most title defenses, and so on and so on. So until I beat those records, then maybe I can be in that conversation.
last thing for me, I heard you ran into Alexander Volkanovski in the elevator at the hotel this week. What was that conversation like, and what do you think about him as a future opponent?
It was cool, it was me and him, and then and my manager, and it was like, well, this ain't awkward, and then we both laughed, and it's just cool, he's a nice guy, he's a fighter, he's a respectful guy, and we didn't say nothing, it was like whatever, and saw him, and then he got off and said, hey, have a nice day, we went on our way.
Everything okay, Rush? You good? Okay, just worried about you.
This guy tired, I don't know what is going on.
Thanks.
Max, right here. Back in February, when I spoke with Israel Adesanya, he said when he fought Anderson Silva, he had watched him so much throughout his career that he knew what was coming when they fought. You were pretty adamant that you'd been watching Frankie for a long time. I'm curious if anything similar when you were fighting him played through your mind.
Yeah, he was definitely showing some stuff that I usually see him show, that running single leg is that's Frankie Edgar. You watch a highlight, you see a bunch of people get taken down with that. So when he's doing that, I was like, oh wow, Frankie's trying it on me. It's pretty cool. But yeah, a bunch of time we watched a lot of tape. I watched a lot of tape, and there's a lot of times when we're in there and it just clipped back like, oh, I remember this fight. He was doing this and he was doing it. So it's pretty cool.
Did you call out Daniel Cormier again after your fight?
All the time. Every time. I call out Daniel Cormier right now. You better hope Stipe don't fight. Baddest man on the planet. You better hope that that Stipe make that walk. Or you're going to fight a Hawaiian that's probably going to step in there around like 205 pounds that's ready to take your belt. And that number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world.
Well, what's the beef? I mean, I saw you kind of teasing him when you had that press conference. You just took
I don't
his
know.
belt.
Did you guys see the Twitter? Like everybody was like saying, "Oh my gosh, he's limping. Max is limping. Fighters and stuff." DC was like, "That's Max's swag. He's not being cool. He's clowning me. I don't like that type of beef. The Twitter figures, trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers. DC, come see me." Nothing but love for the guy. I love DC, man. I love that guy. He's a legend.
Over here, Max, congratulations. First of all, it's been over 3 years since you've went to a decision in the featherweight division. So what is it about Frankie or tonight that took you the distance like that?
Like I said, Frankie's a legend. He's the man, and all I kept hearing was I wasn't going to be able to handle Frankie's pace. I wasn't going to be able to handle his wrestling. I fought no one like Frankie before. So I had in my plan, in my mind, I wanted to go out there and show everybody why I was the best in the world and why Blessed Express and the Blessed Arrows stood in full effect. So I went out there, control the fight, and show everybody, look, I don't have to be in these wars and this stuff. It's fun sometimes, but sometimes, not looking like the guy from Goonie is great too. So we got some business stuff. We got some business stuff to do after this fight, and I couldn't be too beaten up. The last fight I had this big scar on my face, and yeah, I don't like it. Rush teases me all the time, so it's kind of horrible.
Dana was in here a few minutes ago. I asked him how close we are to UFC Hawaii, and he gave me a short answer, not at all. Do you know anything about that or why he said that?
Yeah, I know because it's not a UFC thing, it's a Hawaii thing. It is a Hawaii thing. Like, look, like, you got guys like Abu Dhabi building. They're building a stadium for UFC to come. These guys is building them, UFC Hawaii, the state, whatever, they don't want it that bad. They don't want it. Abu Dhabi's building a stadium as we speak right now for a fight, and we have a stadium there. So I just think it's one of those things that Hawaii just don't want it that bad.
Do you take exception to that as a star from Hawaii, the face of Hawaii?
You think I do?
I'm asking you. I don't have a thought on it.
I want to fight at home. I want every guy's dream is to fight at home. I want to fight at home in front of my people and. Thank God Canada took your boy as the honorary captain. So I'm here, GSP, move over. Next time I go to T-Dot City to main event, I'm gonna tie with him. I think it's 5. Yeah, 5. Yeah, you told me. Mike told me. He only headlined 5 Canadian cars, so I might catch up with him. So yeah.
And finally, for me, if it's okay with you, Max, can we get a brief breakdown how Rush Mini Bless feels about your performance tonight?
Yeah, how you feel about how did Daddy look good tonight?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? What was pretty good?
The punches.
Oh, just pretty good. I'm kind of mad. He's not getting chocolate wasted tonight, guys. What? I am. I'm taking all the goodies that you guys saw and embedded.
What? Then I can just keep the fountain.
Hi, Max. Back here. Sort of along those same lines. I'm sure after the loss to Dustin, you kind of have to talk to Rush about, coming back from a loss. Now that you actually have come back from a loss and you finished that, how do you kind of what can you add on to that lesson?
It's like I said, a true champion is a guy who can get knocked back down and get right back up the reins and keep chugging along. All these guys, everybody, you don't really see someone's character until they get tested. If someone is great all the time and that's all they know, and they never ever had failure, then you really don't know how great they are. They got to run into these problems to find out how great and to find themselves, and this is one of those lessons.
And should the Australia card, should that not happen, or you don't fight at that card, how determined are you to fight again, at least get in one more before the end of the year?
Yeah, we see what happens. Like I just told you guys. I gotta go with my team. I gotta talk, and I know how bad I want to fight at home. And I don't want to take that away from the guy. But at the end of the day, I just gotta go see the doctors. And get checked up, and we go from there. At the end of the day, the stadium and stuff is cool, but I definitely want to fight before the end of the year for sure. UFC had this habit of putting me the first week of December. Hopefully if I get medically cleared and everything and I'm good to go by December, I can get that first week because I've been max week for the last 3 years, I think. So don't be changing up on me now because only get one card. Keep that same energy, UFC.
Whoa.
Max, just following up on that, I know you've wanted to be on like a New Year's card or an International Fight Week card. It didn't pan out last year, but those last pay-per-views, it's going to be a stadium show in October, Madison Square Garden, New York, then the December pay-per-view. Will you be satisfied if you're on one of those events?
Yeah, we see. New York sounds cool. Like I said, like you guys said with Vogzanaki and Aussie, sounds cool. So we see. I gotta go check with the doctors, get checked, and we'll go from there.
You have your peanut butter Cocoa Puffs yet?
Oh, no, I didn't have. We're about to have some. Manager looking at me like, no, you're not. But yes, I am. I'll fight you.
All right, go get it.
Thank you.
Hey, Max. You mentioned going to see the doctors and get medically tested. That's something we don't really hear fighters talk about that much. Is this something you've always done, or was this something that started after you had to pull out of that fight with Brian for the unknown reasons, basically?
Yeah, it's something that that you just gotta learn. One of those things that we get better and you get better, and things like that happen. So we've been, I got this little mini me right here. I'm trying to be able to walk and talk and be fine. We had some tragedies that happened, not in our sport, but in combat sports this past week. That's pretty sad, and we want to stay on top of it. My manager, my team, they all push me to go to the doctors whenever something like. I can be telling them like, oh my gosh, my hand is sore. They're like, I get texts. I tell one of the coaches, oh, my hand is hurt. I get a text by my manager 10 minutes later, hey, look, check your Google calendar. You gotta go to the doctors right now. I'm like, what? What is going on? Like I can't, like, you know what I mean? But these guys look out for the best for me, and that's why I love them. And I'm trying to stay around for a long time. Not a good time, a long time.
It's actually mentioning those tragedies we had in boxing. You're talking about the clip of you walking in tonight. Conor McGregor actually retweeted it and said, when you've heard about those tragedies, the walk takes on a different meaning. I mean, obviously you were just walking into the arena, but can you understand what he means by that, knowing what's happened in boxing recently?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's I understand that a lot. It's something that a fighter know, only a fighter know. And the sport is crazy. The sport is crazy. We always, like, me and my coach, me and one of my head coach, we always joke around about it. But the last meal before I fight, all the time, he say, eat whatever you want. This might be your last meal. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way we approach it, because we're just warriors and stuff. But we don't wish that, but that's what we say. That's just a mindset. And you never know. You really never know. This world is crazy. This sport is crazy. And it's just insane. And you gotta feel out, nothing but love and prayers to that family that's enduring right now. Actually, the two families. So, prayers out to them.
Cheers.
Thank you. All good? All good. With my chips with the dip now. Thank you, guys.
Max, can you pose for some photos right there?
rounds for the vacant Invicta FC Featherweight Championship of the World. Bam! Bam! Sorensen! It is good! Give a big Kansas City welcome to Caitlin! Yeah! That was vicious!
Wow. What a fight!
Make some noise if you are ready!
Welcome back to the Contender Series.
You think that guy wants to fight in the UFC?
Jeez. You want a statement win? Finishes have become the norm. How about a knockout? Oh, wow! Straight big right here.
Sugar Show! Oh! There's the tag! He's out! He's out! Cold! Vengeance is this best served cold and sleeping.
Man, these guys want a contract.